Hello, Musto006, we're back for part 22 of Pokemon AshGray. Last time, got through another 4 episodes of the anime, haven't got through 5 in the previous episode, or the episode before the last one, so yeah, making a lot of progress. And to that end, so yeah, this is going to be effectively a completely grind-heavy, levelling up episode. There's not going to be any progression of the storyline whatsoever, so yeah, feel free to skip this episode if you want, and come back next time when I will be progressing on with the story. But yeah, well, 2 reasons why I'm doing it now. The first one is that, yeah, I think I would like to get my sort of travelling companion countdown videos out of the way before the end of the Season 1 episode anime. So given that I did my first one after episode 12, the second one after episode 26, that's of the anime, not the Let's Play. Now we're at episode 42, so I think now sort of would fit with a good time to sort of, in the progression of the anime before, coming to the end of season 1. There will be 3 more travelling companion countdown videos, so yeah, I will probably be doing one round about maybe somewhere in the mid-50s and then maybe early 70s. That feels like it would be spread out quite nicely. But anyway, yeah, getting way ahead of myself. The second reason is that I'm starting to feel like now, maybe not so much with wild battles, but with with trainer battles and particularly gym battles, that I feel like I need other Pokemon to be fairly, much more leveled up. I'm sort of really starting to maybe over-rely on Pikachu at the moment. So yeah, I feel like I need my other Pokemon to be a lot better than they are. So hence another reason for doing this kind of grind-heavy episode, to get my my supporting cast of Pokemon, if you will, up to not quite the same level as Pikachu, because I don't think I'm going to be spending that much time on this. But yeah, to a better standard than they are now, so that they could do a good job, or at least hold their own for a little bit. So yeah, before I kind of kick off, I am going to do a bit of setup here. So I'm going to take the lucky egg from Pikachu. I'm going to put Squirtle into bat first off, and I'm going to give him the lucky egg, just so that then he gets obviously lots of experience from the battles as well. I'm not going to give anyone the experience share at the moment. I'm going to just leave that sort of be for the time being. I doubt I'll probably put it on this episode, but as I say, my plan is to sort of yeah, do some levelling up for Squirtle, Bulbasaur, maybe Pidgeotto as well. If we get to that point, maybe it might depend on how long my travelling companion countdown stuff goes on for. But yeah, I'd like to make some progress levelling up all 3 of those. Not so much Charmander. I'll maybe I'll explain why this video. Maybe it'll be next video. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave Charmander pretty much as he is. So yeah, my focus this episode is going to be Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Pidgeotto. And well, yeah, we'll just see basically where I get in my travelling companion countdown story, to the point of view where, yeah, how far I get through that will dictate obviously what level they're going to get. Because I'm not getting all up to level 45 equal to Pikachu, for instance. I'm not spending that much time on this. But yeah, I think that is the setup, and I think that's pretty much all I want to say by way of an introduction. So yeah, so getting back to the countdown then, as I say, I will be doing 3 more videos on that. So there's 2 to come in this one. I will be covering my 5th and 4th favourites, following on from the previous one. So 11th dead last was Max, then 10th was Tracy, 9th was Iris, 8th was Stylen, 7th was Misty, and 6th was Clement. So yeah, we are into the top 5, the final 5, dun dun dun, and yeah. This one's going to be maybe a little bit controversial, I don't know. Maybe they'll all be a bit controversial at this point in time. But yeah, without any further ado, 5th place on my list goes to Brock. Now, this is somewhat of a controversial one. Before I kick off too much, by the way, I'm just going to say now that this is pretty much the only spot I could find without having to backtrack enormously. I could, with a patch of grass there. I don't want to go further off to the left from where I am at the moment now. Oh yay! Just to be really annoying right off the bat. Yeah, I don't want to be going way off to the left. That's going to be encroaching on like the next episodes of the anime, so I don't want to go anywhere near that. And yeah, I did check at the beginning, at the end of very end of last episode that. Yeah, I just, without having to backtrack a million miles, this is probably about the best I could do in terms of a patch of grass, so it seemed to be about the only one around. Oh, thank you for not getting confused either time. That was fantastic, and my luck is in. Let's hope it stays in, because yeah, that was phenomenal luck for me. I know admittedly it's only one in 4 that I didn't get confused either time, but still, that's pretty good. That's pretty good for me. Pretty happy with that. But anyway, yeah, this was about the only, I think about the only patch of grass I could really find that would seem to actually, or around for me to be able to actually, battle anybody. And I'd really love it if I didn't encounter a whole bunch of Venonats with supersonics all the time just to leave me confused. It's not going to be fantastic to do that. But oh well. Maybe I'll probably find out the Squirtle is like the worst possible Pokemon for this area, given it's going to look like it might be a whole bunch of Pokemon with grass type moves or such like that. But anyway, we'll see how we go. That's way too much on that. Let's get back to the countdown. So yeah, number 5 is Brock, and I have to say, it sort of hurts me a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to get a whole bunch of grass Pokemon, aren't I? Fantastic. I have to say, I haven't got too many blizzards either. I have to say, I was very sort of paralysed as well. I was very surprised to see, or to actually have Brock this low on my list. When I actually compiled this list for the first time, I actually had Brock. I'll go back to the Pokemon Center and heal. Fantastic. I actually had Brock a lot higher on the list. He was actually 3rd. Now I haven't saved the picture or anything like that with me having sort of put him at 3rd. I overwrote it once I kind of done it because I just But yeah, I had Brock 3rd, and I didn't expect him to sort of be this low, but the reason he is now this low is ultimately after I'd done the previous Travelling Companion Countdown video, and I'd talked about Clement being in sort 6, and I'd gone through I listed all the reasons why I really liked him, and ultimately why he was only in 6th place. And then I thought about Brock, and I thought, having gone through this list of why Clement's sort of at number 6, I've got somewhat of a shorter list, or what seems like a shorter list for why I like Brock, and I've got him at number 3 on my list. So I had to sort of reevaluate things. As much as I like Brock, and I'll come on to all the reasons in a moment. I can obviously come on to those reasons in a moment. Yeah, it's just I just when I thought about it more, I just felt like I couldn't put him. This is going to be the worst possible spot for Squirtle. Oh, I might have to rethink this and put, I don't even know, like Pidgeotto in, grass Pokemon in, or something that's, and have to give Squirtle the XP share or something, because Squirtle's just going to be. This looks like it's going to be the worst patch of grass ever. Like literally, there's grass Pokemon. They've got paralysing moves. They've got poison moves. This is like the worst spot ever for this. Gee whiz! I might have to. I might even put Pidgeotto in and give him the lucky egg and then put the others on the XP share. This is otherwise it's going to be. This is silly. I'm just going to get. I'm just going to get bogged down here. They're not going to take the Pokemon out quick enough. They're going to keep getting poisoned and paralysed, and it's not going to work. So I need to sort of take them out quickly. So really, how flipping annoying! And it's the only patch of grass I can see around here as well. It's so annoying. I still wanted to use like Squirtle and even Bulbasaur. I might switch to Bulbasaur at some point in time, and level them up, by using them properly. But if you're going to put up a whole bunch of grass Pokemon that have poison type moves and paralysing moves, I did not switch Squirtle out. He's still at front. Lovely. Let's see if Blizzard actually works. Oh, it did. Wonderful. Well, at least there's something there. Right, let me switch Squirtle out for Pidgeotto. And then finally, I might actually be able to get into my countdown, because I'm just completely all flustered at the moment, because nothing seems to be going my way. other than the lack of getting confused that time where I was, or the time where Squirtle actually attacked twice. But oh goodness me, 10 minutes in now, and I've not even really gone anywhere near in depth into my countdown that I wanted to. And what do? You put in like flying type Pokemon now. I know you're probably part of bug as well. So Fid Flying is going to work. But yeah, lovely. Switch out my water one. Because I'm worried about all the grass type stuff. And what do? First Pokemon I then encounter is a flying bug one. Anyway, right. Yeah. I've got my list in front of me here, and I've started going through them for Brock. But I honestly just felt like if when I'm going to go through it, it almost feel like, well, why on earth have you got Clement sort of below Brock? Surely, based on the list here, that okay. Pardon me while there's another distraction. Bubble Beam, okay. Okay, so it's very similar to Water Pulse. It does a little bit more damage, but it may lower the foe's speed, and Water Pulse is a confusing thing. You know what? I know I sort of said it with like 2 water attacks, but that was with Water Gun, that was pretty weak. I think actually, given the amount of Pokemon who know Secret Power, I think I'm actually going to get rid of that for Squirtle and give him Bubble Beam. I feel like actually... yeah, maybe having these 2 ones is probably okay. They'll get. I mean, obviously with a water one, it gets his like same time attack bonus as well, so it's up to almost about 100 power, 97.5, I think it is. So yeah, I think I'm actually going to. It's a bit annoying I can't see his stats. But yeah, I think I'm going to get rid of Secret Power. It's a TM move, so I can give it back to him again if I so wish. So I think that's a decent choice. So I'm actually going to give Squirtle Bubble Beam. I think enough Pokemon have actually got Secret Power that I don't need like every single one to have it. Yeah, if I want to get back to him, I can do it. It's another TA. I'm not getting rid of another one that he's sort of learnt by just leveling up. So yeah, cool. Actually, okay, wonderful. But more interruptions. So anyway, yeah, I think you get the impression that it would be almost like, yeah, why have you got Brock above Clement? Given the sort of the list of reasons, it sounds like you've got more for Clement and less for Brock. So yeah, anyway, I think the main thing about Brock is ultimately he is. And what probably made me have him sort of higher on the list originally is he is like the best friend that you would want in the situation where you are travelling around regions, travelling around the world, trying to become a Pokemon master or whatever you're doing. He is the guy that you want travelling with you. He's a fabulous person to have around, and I completely respect that. If I were doing that kind of thing, then Brock is who I'd want there, just as a friend, just to someone to talk to, someone who will advise me, someone who I hesitate to say sort of be the kind of the lackey and the kind of like the caretaker of the group, but I must admit, if I was sort of doing that, I would be completely beside myself, not having a clue how to do anything. I am so sort of like insulated and such like that, to the point of view that trying to survive out there in the wild. I mean, admittedly, I'm not going to go on like I'm not going to go on a journey, whatever across the world kind of thing. But just imagine if I was like doing, if I was like on a as a gap year student or backpacking or something like that, I wouldn't survive. I would confidently predict that I just would not be able to cope with that. That would just not be my style whatsoever. So if I were forced into it or were doing anything like that, having someone like Brock around would be just an absolute godsend. So I mean, all the stuff he does for Ash, and obviously all the 3 groups of people that he's with. So Misty in the original series, May and Max in the advanced series, and then Dawn in the Diamond and Pearl series. But I mean, he does so much that's just kind of overlooked and forgotten, but it's certainly not overlooked or forgotten by me. So, the cooking, the cleaning, the health care, and taking care of Pokemon, and obviously the humans and the people that he's travelling with as well. The life lessons that he gives and everything like that. He's such a good guy to have around, to give advice. And he is someone that I would absolutely want around to do all that. He is absolutely fantastic fantastic with that. I do feel like to some degree that he doesn't get the appreciation that he entirely deserves. Certainly from Ash, I would say. Probably even like Misty and then May and / Max. I feel like Dawn, I'm getting a little bit off track here, but I feel like Dawn sort of actually is probably the one who appreciates him the most. But still, I think for all that Brock does, he is massively underappreciated and underrated as a character. Or maybe he's not underrated, because he obviously does seem to be a firm fan favourite. And ultimately, the reasoning why the creators ultimately replaced him with Tracy for season 2, The Orange Islands, was just absolutely stupid. It became apparent that there was, that was just, people didn't care. They liked Brock for who he was, not for any of his sort of, for who he was as a, I can't think what I want to say here, but yeah, you all know what I'm trying to say here. But yeah, his reason for replacement was just for stereotypical sort of reasons, and thinking that ultimately the fan base wouldn't take to him was stupid beyond belief. And I think they sort of, creators kind of quickly kind of realised their mistake. And I do think, I don't want to harp on it too much, but I do think Tracy gets way too much flack for simply being Tracy, being Brock's replacement for the Orange Islands, because there's nothing to hate about the guy, really. But the backlash against Tracy was absolutely ludicrous and completely undeserved as well. But I mean, let's face it, Brock is 10 times the character Tracy is, but Tracy does not deserve to be hated as much as he is. Yeah, Brock is all round fantastic, and he's such a great guy as well. I mean, the thing I suppose I quite like actually is about that he is sort of a bit of a dick when you first kind of meet him. Or he certainly comes across that way. I mean, I know there was this kind of this sort of thing in the first season where like it seemed like all gym leaders were supposed to be dicks or whatever, but I mean, Brock's just sort of like, not letting Ash, he's just he comes across so cocky. Not that he doesn't necessarily earn the right to be his gym leader and everything like that, but he's so dismissive of Ash, so dismissive of Pikachu ultimately. I mean, I suppose that's probably to be expected, but he sort of cheats in his first fight as well, where he doesn't let Ash even swap out Pikachu for his second Pokemon. He's just sort of like, do you surrender? And then when Ash gives up, he sort of calls it off there, so he doesn't let him call out his second Pokemon. So yeah, he's a right royal dick to Ash when we first meet him. He's not someone we kind of take to at all, really. But when his father sort of comes into the picture and then trains Ash up, we obviously get to see the complete other side of Brock. That ultimately, that he has stepped in for his deadbeat dad who went off on his own, abandoned his family and whatnot, and he's caring for 9? I can't remember the exact number, but I think it's something like 9 brothers and sisters, something like that. And again, he just does everything for them. He is such a good, older sibling for them, and ultimately just takes care of them and makes sure they survive. And I think that's a really nice kind of in the same episode as well. Initial insight into the guy and gives you perspective on who he is and just the type of personality he is. That ultimately he is so kind of friendly and such the caretaker, such the caregiver, I so appreciate that as his role. What else can I say about him? I mean, I love as well how perceptive he is as a character. He will know when to step out of the way, to leave people be. So when people are upset, particularly with May and Dawn, when they've perhaps lost a contest or something like that, and Ash is perhaps trying to step in, or someone else is trying to step in, Brock is sort of like, no, just leave them be. They need to they need to maybe go off into a corner and have a little cry or spend some time to themselves. He also does that with Ash as well. So I think I can't remember the episode exactly, but Ash must be, I can't remember the name of the episode, but it must be the one after he suffers an absolutely crushing defeat by Paul in the Diamond and Pearl series, and he's feels pretty depressed after it, and Dawn is sort of wanting to go speak to him, but Brock sort of just kind of puts a hand on his shoulder and says, no, leave Ash be. He needs time to himself. He doesn't need anyone else at the moment to sort of with the best will in the world trying to cheer him up. Ash just needs to be by himself, clear his head, get himself kind of sorted before before anyone else sort of tries to interact with him. So I love that about him, that he's obviously, I mean, he's a lot older than, well, not say a lot, but he's obviously a good deal older than either Ash, Misty, May, certainly Max, or Dawn. So he is the oldest of the ones who are travelling. So he is going to have more life experience, and he is going to have that kind of more calm, collected head on his shoulders and all that kind of thing, which is great. So I really like how he can read the situation, so he'll know when to kind of back off, when to give people their space. Equally, he'll know when to step in when something isn't going right. So there's an episode in Diamond and Pearl again that. I think he's trying to train. He's on. All the gang have come to a Miltank. Resort, Miltank cafe or something. So, that was a nice. Go there. Double level up. Nice. Obviously means double evolution cancel, but oh well. And one of the younger sisters having trouble with the Miltank, so he stays behind. I mean, admittedly, there's some sort of an attraction there, although admittedly not to the younger sister there. I'll come on to this whole Brock and his attraction to women/girls and all that kind of thing later point in time. But he's kind of offers to step in there. He knows when to kind of try and be sympathetic. He also knows when to be firm when needed. As in that episode, the one that springs to mind is when Ash loses. I think it's a battle to, I want to say Brawley, or in the Advanced series. It's the second gym. It's the water Pokemon, water Pokemon gym leader who spends a lot of his time surfing. And Ash is like crestfallen his defeat, where he thinks like the gym leader's just slacking off. Just who'd rather spend time surfing than training his Pokemon. And Brock's sort of like, Ash, snap out of it. So he knows when to be aggressive, quote unquote aggressive when he needs to, and step in and be that sort of firm hand to say snap out of it, stop being stupid. He also does that quite well when it comes to, rightly so, when it comes to Pokemon care as well. So scalding, I say inverted as sort of quote unquote scalding, because I think it's not really kind of a telling off or a scalding per se, but it's there's some elements of it there when Ash and Dawn haven't maybe done such a good job of taking care of Pokemon when they've got when in particular when Dawn's Pachirisu got sick, that she didn't call, that no one knew what to do to take care of him, to get him well again. He's like, you guys, you need to. I'm not going to be around forever. I'm not going to be keeping on travelling. You need to know these things. You need to know how to take care of your Pokemon. If there's a real emergency or such like that, then you've got to be prepared for this. So step up, learn this. And there's a kind of a firm kind of guidance there, which is absolutely needed, and I like that. I really like that he knows his place. Yeah, ultimately, it's a very long point here I'm making, but I think it has sort of subtleties all over the place, where he knows when to step in and be firm, knows when to sort of take a step back, knows when he needs to step in. Ultimately, be a reassuring hand, some guide and provide guidance such like that. So yeah, I think that's all kind of wrapped up into sort of his perceptiveness and his self-awareness of reading situations and knowing when to step in, when to intervene, and when to take a step back and let things play out as they do. So yeah, I really like that about him. I guess I mentioned it. I guess I already mentioned it. So with the kind of like the his love affair or his attraction to all the women and girls and such like that, which I do like to a point. I wouldn't say it's necessarily, it kind of gets a little bit old eventually. I mean, let's be honest, leaving aside season 2, but he's got 4 seasons ultimately, and probably even a little bit ultimately, because part of the reason he actually left was for Professor Ivy, I think it was, in the Orange Islands, and his sort of unrequited love or attraction for her and whatnot that kind of kept him away. I mean, I know that it was used as a plot point to keep him away, but still, that's the whole reason why he was pretty much absent in season 2. So he's had pretty much like 4 seasons on the original series, 4 in the Advanced, and 4 in Diamond and Pearl, where he's like, just every time a beautiful woman, girl, whatever, is there, he's sort of, fallen madly in love, just completely off of just going off looks and everything like that, which is somewhat shallow, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily Brock's best character trait, although I do kind of like just his sort of almost his continual shutdowns, not to the point where I want him to be depressed about it. And there are some times where he sort of goes real kind of emo, where you think, actually, how much more can his poor heart take? He keeps getting these knockbacks and everything like that, but he springs back up again as well, and that's what I really like about him as well. He doesn't he's able to sort of almost brush it off to a point, and how the sort of many knockbacks the guy gets, he's able to sort of brush it off, get back on the horse, and well, yeah, try again. Not that it really ever gets him anywhere, other than one time where he completely sort of gets completely flustered and sort of almost chickens out from getting involved with the person. He's sort of like not used to the attention actually being given back to him, but he's almost like he doesn't know what to do with it. So that was an episode in I think the final series of the final season of the original series where Misty sort of has to kind of try and snap him out of it. But yeah, I feel like it's a good thing, but in some ways it is kind of shallow. I don't think it's necessarily his best character trait, and it does get a little bit old, after a while. I mean, the one thing I will say is that I think I probably started to get quite sick of it sick of it's maybe too strong, but a little bit like this again, really, during the Advanced series. I suppose I should go back in order here to say Misty ended up sort of being the one to sort of drag him away by the ear in the original series, and then Max took up that mantle in the Advanced series. But yeah, I think by the end of that, it was just kind of getting a bit. Really, we're still kind of going through this. Have you not got any other character? Have you not got any character development for Brock at this point in time? You're just literally going back to this unrequited attraction to literally any woman he sees. But I must admit, I did get a huge laugh out of Krogunk taking up that mantle in Diamond and Pearl series. That's just. That kind of just made it almost all the more funny kind of thing, because it wasn't like you were just waiting for either Misty or Max sort of dragging away by the ear. It was the anticipation ultimately of Krogunk popping out of his Pokeball to give him a poison jab and such like that, and it was always just. The moment you couldn't quite tell exactly when he was going to step in and do it, and I love that sort of anticipation ultimately of when Krogunk was all of a sudden just suddenly going to appear and poison jab him. Sometimes, and it just sort of added to the hilarity, to a point as well. Just sort of like, I don't know what the artists were doing or anything like that, but literally, Krogunk's paw literally actually goes up Brock's arse. I'm not joking. It is. I imagine there's no sort of dirty or perverted intent with that, but yeah, so many occasions. Obviously, in Diamond and Pearl, that's where Brock got the Krogunk. But yeah, I mean, sometimes he'll poison jab him in the leg, sometimes it's sort of in the chest or maybe in the midriff or something like that. But a lot of the time, he literally has his paw sort of in Brock's butt crack. It is absolutely ludicrous and hilarious at the same time. But yeah, I have to say I did get a lot of a chuckle. I'm sort of paying attention now for the next time Squirtle levels up. I'm going to sort of I think give Bulbasaur a bit of a chance. Or maybe actually I'll leave it on while I talk about Brock, and then when I move on to the next character, then I'll put Bulbasaur on. But yeah, I am conscious of the fact that I do want to give Bulbasaur a bit of a chance here as well. But I haven't been paying too much attention. I think Squirtle's level 34 at the moment, so I think I'd probably like to get him maybe 2 more. That would be nice. But oh well. Yeah, the whole attraction to all the women and girls and everything like that is it's good to a point. I think it wore out its welcome a little bit through the Advanced series where I was starting to get a bit tired of it, but my sort of appreciation for it increased again, funnily enough, during Diamond and Pearl, which is sort of in anticipation of when Krogunk was going to appear. So moving on, another thing I kind of really like about Brock is the comic relief that he sort of provides from someone who is the older person sort of in the group as well, the one that you kind of expect to be the one sort of I guess in charge and the more serious of the lot of the bunch, and obviously that is the case. But I sort of equivocate it to Ross on Friends, where Chandler or Joey may get a lot of the kind of the comic relief, but they're kind of goofy characters in themselves, and while they're funny, obviously to a point, it's sort of expected of them. The thing with Ross, who's sort of like supposed to be the kind of the more buttoned up one, the sort of more serious one, the museum kind of guy and everything like that, where the more kind of like serious one, who's not supposed to goof around so much. What was ended up sort of being the most kind of funny ultimately was Ross being in those situations, more so than, for instance, a Chandler or a Joey, where it's sort of expected to be in that situation, but there was something just about the fact that it was Ross in that situation that was more funny. And maybe another example would be Marshall from How I Met Your Mother, being more so than either Barney or Ted. Ted maybe to a lesser extent, but again, Marshall was sort of the serious lawyer kind of one. It was almost sort of more funny to me when Marshall kind of got into those kind of weird situations, sort of the comic relief, than Barney, for instance, who naturally is that character. So that's how I kind of see Brock. Yes, he's not. I'm not saying anyone's supposed to provide the comic relief here. We're not talking about, you know, a comedy with the Pokemon anime, like, you know, obviously Friends or How I Met Your Mother or any other like actual comedy shows. But I feel like the comic relief when Brock does it is more so than when Ash does it, or when Misty does it, or anyone else. It's because it's Brock. And but yeah, he certainly has his moments. I won't even go into the whole frying pan, drying pan meme. That's just, you know, that's just a fabulous little fabulous. Oh, that's a nice level up. Fabulous little example there of one. I'm actually going to switch out maybe Squirtle and put him into battle. Hopefully he can take out, now that he's leveled up again, he might be able to sort of take out the Pokemon a little bit quicker, and then I'll put Bulbasaur back in. But so let me just sort this out while I'm talking, otherwise I will mess this up. No, I don't want to take that. I give anything to you. I want to take that from. No, I don't. Hang on. What have I actually done here? What are you holding? I don't even know what you're holding. Summary. You're holding an EXP share. Okay, I want to give you the lucky egg. So you must have that one. Right, okay, yeah, just getting all completely flustered, not quite sure what items I've given to which of my Pokemon. Fantastic. Right, let's give you the EXP share. Well, hopefully with that extra level up, that I'll now be actually able to take water Pokemon out in 2 moves, and hopefully I won't get quite so much poison, paralysed and all that kind of thing, but we'll see. Anyway, yeah. Brock kind of providing the comic relief. I've actually got rid of Secret Power now, haven't I? So I haven't actually got anything that's going to be, other than, of course, Blizzard, but I don't want to use Blizzard where possible, because it's very, very inaccurate and I haven't got that many of it. And, of course, immediately I've been paralysed. So, yeah, right off the bat, fantastic. Anyway, yeah, I'll hopefully get Squirtle up level 36, and then we'll switch Pidgeotto back in, and then we'll get Bulbasaur out. Yeah, comic relief kind of thing. So I think there's probably only one other thing I was going to say. Probably just ultimately, it's probably not a really valid reason as to why Brock is kind of as why I've sort of got on my favourite list. But ultimately, I do think longevity has to play its part. There's no way that ultimately having him there for. Wonderful, fabulous. There's no way that having him there for 13 seasons. Let's leave aside his he's not really appearing in season 2, but the fact that he is there for so long, is probably ultimately the reason why most people kind of have him kind of high up on a favourite list and such like that. I mean, not that he's not an awesome character, because he absolutely is, but I do think ultimately the amount of time that he's around for has to be a large contributing factor to that. So yeah, and I think it is also for me. So yeah, wow. Despite the fact I'm trying to do 2 here. Two. A Mighty countdown. That's a good thing, because I think I'm going to actually almost get to well above an hour anyway. So yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I haven't even got to like Brock's. Wow. More sort of negative points. So I haven't got many, admittedly, but I think the really, really big one for me is lack of character development. I'm not saying that's sort of a reason for me not to like Brock, or for sort of or anything like that, but ultimately, I've just finished saying ultimately his longevity is sort of why he's kind of kind of a firm fan favourite, and that should absolutely be the case. But equally, it is almost criminal. It is absolute crying shame that, given that he had 13 seasons, maybe let's call it 12, of time on the show that he is probably the one character that I feel has got the absolute least amount of character development across the board. I mean, certainly for how long he's there, it is absolutely criminal. He barely has any. I feel like he obviously got this Pokemon breeder type thing, but you never you don't really see him utilise it all that much. He almost just seems to ultimately just sort of be along for the ride, just kind of and doing a fantastic job as being a supporting role, obviously for Ash or indeed any of the the Poké Girls or whatever. But he doesn't really have a purpose of his own. He just kind of feels like he's there along for the ride. I mean, his end goal, or where we leave him at the end, once he departs at the end of Diamond and Pearl, is him wanting to become or deciding to become a Pokemon doctor. I actually just going to pause here. I feel like I've lucked out being paralysed here. I know I'm sort of going second every time, and there might be some times where I'm not moving, but a lot of the time you're using, not now obviously, but a lot of the time you're using like Supersonic to try and confuse me, which I don't think is going to work when paralysed. You're also using Poison Powder, which again I don't think is going to work when I'm paralysed. So, of course, now you're going to actually use moves that actually hurt. And ones that confuse me. So I'm sure I'm actually going to take damage here and not actually. Oh wow, okay. So I'm confused and paralysed. Fantastic. But yeah, Poison Powder's not going to work, presumably because I'm paralysed. Yeah, this is. I feel like actually paralysed here is fantastic. Told you it was going to happen. I feel like being paralysed here actually isn't so bad. But of course, as I say that, I've literally had a load of wonderful fights that have just come across with being paralysed. And now, of course, the moment I mention it, it's all gone completely to pot. This has been an absolutely nightmare fight. I've lost about half my health. I've been confused, I've hurt myself, he's gained life, this has gone on way too long, and yeah, that was a train wreck of a fight. But of course, up until the point I mentioned it was going really well. It was going really well, but then yeah, it all went to hell and high water after that. Anyway, back to my point. Yeah, Brock sort of only really decides, or because wants to become a Pokemon doctor, but he only decides this literally the episode before the finale of the Diamond and Pearl series, or maybe the one before that. It is so late in the day that he doesn't get any sort of utility out of it. I mean, it's great that he's decided that. It's great that ultimately he's got a purpose, in his life now. He's got a goal that he wants to reach to, because he actually spent a bit of a time, not moping, I say, but just sort of in quiet reflection, after, I think it was, where the hell were they? The Sinnoh League. I'm just trying to think of the blooming region they were in. The Sinnoh League and Dawn's. Pokemon contest finale, whatever the Grand Festival, yeah. He sort of laments afterwards, saying, well, Ash has got his dreams. He's got his, he wants to be a Pokemon master. Dawn's got her dreams. She wants to be, become a Pokemon, be a Pokemon, or contest performer and all that kind of thing. But what do I want to do? What am I doing with my life? I'm just, I've been trailing Ash around now for 13 years, and I don't know what I want to do in my life. And I think it's great ultimately that he gets a resolution to that. But gee whiz. The guy doesn't have any character, doesn't have barely any character development over 12 seasons. It is criminal. For such a character who's there for that long, he gets barely none. And ultimately, I think that's why I can't. And probably another reason why I've almost now put Brock lower on the list, is in terms of trying to sort of think of things that I like about him. And character development is just such a massive part of ultimately why why the characters at the top of my list are at the sort of top of my list. But yeah, Brock just suffers so much in that respect. So yeah, I think I've laboured that point way too much. But yeah, character development for Brock is severely lacking. The other thing that I think he sort of misses out on to some degree, you're still alive, aren't you, Honest? Yep, or he's not fainted, let's put it that way. I don't really feel like he has a special relationship with any one of his Pokemon, and I think ultimately he's sort of, I don't know, he misses out. He seems to sort of miss out a little bit on my eyes from that perspective. For instance, obviously Ash has Pikachu. Thank goodness Pete Squirtle's leveled up, so I can now switch to Bulbasaur and not have to worry about this paralysis and everything. Yeah, obviously Ash has Pikachu. Misty has Togepi. You know, I don't really feel like May has one per se, although I guess Torchic, if you're gonna obviously press me on that. Dawn has Piplup, but you know, I don't feel like. Let's put Bulbasaur in. Actually, I don't feel like Brock really has. You know, that kind of one Pokemon that's sort of like a go-to one, or one that he has a special, you know, a real special relationship, like the one I just mentioned, like with, you know, Ash and Pikachu, or Misty and Togepi, or Dawn and Piplup. So, yeah, I feel like, not that he hasn't had great Pokemon. You know, I really love the Vulpix, ultimately, this kind of the storyline, and you know, and that he got and everything like that. But oh, really? Well, that was a clever move, wasn't it? This is the worst patch of grass ever for me to try and level up my Pokemon. It is absolutely awful. If I'm not taking them out in one hit, I mean, the Poker Flute's really nice because I just wake up a sleeping Pokemon whenever I want, but jeez whiz, this is terrible. This is the worst patch of grass ever if I try to level up. If you put me to sleep again, I'm going to be so annoyed. And of course you're using a poison move, which is super effective. But and I haven't got anything. I haven't got anything with Bulbasaur that's going to do anything. This is the worst patch of grass ever. Absolutely appalling. I'm just going to have to go with Pidgeotto and level Bulbasaur up the long-winded way, and not get him up as normal, because this is absolutely awful. I'm also going to go heal as well and just replenish the Pokemon. But oh my goodness me, worst patch of grass ever for trying to level up Squirtle and Bulbasaur. Gee whiz. I can't even get out the bicycle here and sort of hurry up, because as soon as I step in the forest, I'm going to come off the bicycle as well. So I might as well just run all the way there as well. Dear me, worst patch of grass ever for my current situation. And there is nothing else around anywhere. Unless I go forward and progress with the anime story. Gee whiz. Anyway, I think I've sort of come to the end of Brock, but yeah, I was talking about the Vulpix thing, wasn't I, as well? So I really like his Susie actually giving him the Vulpix for him to train and all like that. I do feel like, you know, and Krogunk is a really nice Pokemon that he has. He's probably one of my favourites of the bunch. And Happiny, I guess, as well, is sort of one. Bonsai as well. So I guess he sort of does have that kind of I'm not say baby Pokemon kind of thing, but I mean, ultimately the Togepi really should have probably been his, or actually it's not Misty's, but so there's another one. But yeah, I guess with Bonsai and Happiny, he sort of, again, that kind of, caretaking role, which he obviously does fantastically. I need to not do that. Right, okay. Right. One. Okay. Anyway. Okay, at least that did a fair amount of damage, so let's just feint this oddish, and then we'll... No! Let's not do that! Wow. Train wreck. Yeah. Although he does have some Pokemon that he is kind of they sort of get more attention than others. I think for me anyway, Brock kind of suffers, I think, from not having a Pokemon he's sort of really close to, all the other ones do. Not that he's not close with his Pokemon, but hopefully you get the point I'm trying to make there. I think that's probably it. I've gone on for Brock for probably quite a while, probably about half an hour or so, given the 30-minute kind of introduction I had to him. But yeah, the only other thing I was going to say was his goodbye as well is again a sort of, I'd say, an absolute travesty at the end of Diamond and Pearl, where he sort of gets the smallest of send-offs. His goodbye at the end of the original series has a lot more kind of meaning and weight to it. Well, it does and it doesn't. It does from the sort of the emotion of the situation, but not really how it plays out on screen, because that was kind of really kind of got me in the throat, got me in the got me in the feels. Whereas even his final goodbye in Diamond and Pearl, it didn't feel like a goodbye in the truest sense. It just felt like, seriously, Ash and him have like a handshake at the signpost where Pewter City and Pallet Town sort of the route sort of diverges. It's such a shame that his goodbye is like limited to that. It's because Dawn got this fabulous kind of send off, and I'll obviously talk about that when I come to actually talking about Dawn. Yeah, Brock's eventual kind of like last few moments in the series are a travesty. But again, a character who's been around for that long got that kind of weak a goodbye. But yeah, anyway, so Brock is awesome, but I feel like his lack of character development, and ultimately I feel like even in comparison to Clement, actually, that I don't feel like I've got maybe as many reasons on a list, but ultimately maybe I don't need to have as many reasons. It's ultimately like with a best friend or something like that. There's maybe not so many reasons why you love them or why they're your best friend. There's maybe just like one or two why you're the best friend, and that's ultimately enough. That's all there needs to be. But yeah, I feel like Brock sort of falls under that in that boat as well, where maybe I don't need quite as many things on a list, but I actually kind of based on my going through with Clement and then Brock, I felt like, well, ultimately looking at the 4 characters I've got left, I think I can hand on heart say actually, despite the fact that I had Brock 3rd on my list originally, I think I can actually hold my hand up and say I got that slightly wrong. Actually, as much as it pains me to say, I do prefer the 4 characters I've got left, or above Brock. So yeah. Wonderful. I'll leave that there for Brock. He comes in at number 5 on my list, and I do appreciate that is the last guy. That's the last guy standing. So we have got all girls left. That probably falls into my sort of like naturally how I sort of gravitate, or my kind of gravitate toward real life friends and such like that. Because admittedly, they haven't got maybe a huge wide circle, but the ones that I do have tend to be female. Admittedly, a lot of that might be due to the fact that, well, certainly where I'm working now, the male-female ratio is absolutely ludicrous, and it's not like it's I work somewhere where you perhaps maybe naturally expect there to be such a big or a wide gender split, but yeah, despite despite Brock sort of originally being 3rd on my list and now sort of 5th, it actually hasn't come as too much of a surprise to me that ultimately, what my top 4 now are actually, all female. So, yeah. Anyway, finally going to get into it. So, yeah. But sort of this video is going to go on massively long, and it would have to be cut to 2 ultimately. Anyway, I mean, I planned to only do 2 anyway, but yeah, gee whiz, it would have to be 2 based on how long I've spent talking about Brock and just other things that have cropped up as well. So anyway, yeah. Coming in at number 4, probably another hugely controversial one, but again, maybe they'd all be controversial at this point, but I guess perhaps this one more so than most. But anyway, number 4 on my favourite list is Serena. Now, I would imagine that Serena would be much higher up on most people's list, if not right at the top. And I completely understand that. Let me just say right off the bat that obviously, we're talking. I know we're perhaps only number 4 on my list, but ultimately, I think the top 5, and in particularly, I'd say particularly top 4. Not to discount Brock, but I think certainly my top 5 are all characters that I really, really like, and some of them I absolutely love. Serena is an absolute sweetheart. There's very little to not like about her, and I can completely understand why Serena would be so high on most people's lists. I mean, admittedly, she's at number 4 on my list. It's not like I've got her down at in Misty's position, for instance, which I think was number 7, which might have surprised a lot of people. But it's not like it's not like she's that low down on my list. She's still number 4. I completely understand why Serena would be higher up, or if indeed not at the top of some other people's lists. Yeah, she is an absolute sweetheart. And probably, I can't actually maybe think of a nicer, quote unquote, a travelling companion that Ash has probably had throughout the entire series. Not that the others are not nice, but I can't think of anyone who is nicer than Serena to sort of be around. And there's so much to like, or indeed love, about Serena. So let's dive into it. Starting ultimately with the fact that ultimately she is a sweetheart. She is such a nice person with such a positive attitude to everything. She is like constantly just happy. You rarely see her kind of like, you know, too downbeat, too sad. Obviously in certain situations, circumstances, and I'll obviously address those as we come to them, but she is such a bubbly, you know, happy-go-lucky person, and believe me when I say that I'm sort of, you know, the people in my life, or indeed or kind of work, who are like that, are just, you know, the best people to be around. They put a smile on your face. They you know can make you feel happy when you're not feeling perhaps so great. I mean so I love that about her. She is someone who I would want to have around as a go-to person. If I was feeling sad or downbeat about something, she would be the one who would just be able to probably smile at me, or, you know, talk to me, and being around would just, you know, help put a smile back on my face. There's something just so infectious about that type of personality, in terms of wow. Okay, that's a nice attack bonus there for Bulbasaur. Such an infectious personality whereby you know, if you are feeling slightly down, obviously if you're feeling really down, then maybe not. But if you are feeling just, you know, slightly down or in need of a little pick me up, they are the people. Serena is the person you want to go to, and she would do that. She would go out of her way to do that. Serena is just one of those characters who just, you know, would be my a go-to person if I was ever feeling sad. I think, like, as well, she probably provides more of a... That's a nice level up for Pidgeotto as well, nice. Probably more of a usefulness to the group than maybe any other female character. I don't necessarily say that in the respect that the others aren't useful, but I do feel like Serena kind of, you know, mucks in and kind of helps out more with the upkeep, or the housekeeping, if you will. Housekeeping for those on travelling around, but you know what I'm getting at. But the caretaking and the looking after. Whereas, you know, Clement does obviously the most of it. No doubt about that. But Serena certainly does her share of that, you know, more so than Misty or May or Dawn or Iris or any other female character. So, and again, I think that's really nice. It's not to the sort of falling into any kind of stereotypical role there, because I don't want to go down that route, and that's nothing anyone really should go down. But she has she really does kind of, you know, muck in, whether it is, you know, things like even things just like tidying up, which you don't really see a lot of others do, or her cooking, you know, her, not the main meals and everything like that, but preparing, like, you know, the desserts, macarons, and being her sort of, you know, go-to thing as well, like that. And it's really nice to see someone else, or other than, you know, like just Clement, or just Silent, or just Brock, you know, performing that kind of a role and providing for the group, and she does that really well. And I really like that she does that. She has a usefulness to the group that she's not. I don't want to say like the others are just mooching ultimately off Brock, and that Brock does everything, or indeed Silent does everything. But yeah, I feel like she has more of a much more of a overall usefulness to the group than probably any other, certainly female travelling companion that there is, and that's completely to her credit as well. Let me think. Other things. Looking at my post-it note here of reasons. Her relationships. I mean, I must admit, I do feel like that the camaraderie. I was about to say there, since we're talking about the last X and Y character, but that's not true. Not true at all. We've still got Bonnie to come. I do feel like the camaraderie between the characters in the XY series is, if not the best, then very close to it. Alongside maybe Diamond and Pearl and Ash, Brock, and Dawn. She gets on obviously very well with Ash, very well with Clement as well. But ultimately, it's what it's her relationship with Bonnie that I think actually has another kind of I don't know, just makes me feel kind of warm and just watching that relationship kind of develop and blossom. Admittedly, Bonnie is Bonnie. She is kind of like the kid of the group. Although she's a little bit younger, obviously, than the rest. Or say, certainly a lot longer, obviously, than Clement. But not quite so much, obviously, Ash and Serena herself. But she sort of steps into this big sister role, which is absolutely brilliant. Serena absolutely adores Bonnie, and just seeing those scenes every now and again where they are spending time together, whether it's even just something like having a conversation while they're brushing their teeth or something like that, or the one that always sticks out in my mind, I think, is the one where they're meant to be. It's at night. They're sort of both in their sleeping bags, and they're sort of both doing Pokemon impersonations and such like that, and they have just such a lovely relationship, I love the moments where we sort of take ourselves out of the more sort of the main kind of storyline and just see Serena and Bonnie just kind of going off doing their thing as well. I also really like that it was not that I think Clement was going to choose Ash to do it, but obviously Serena was asked to take care of Bonnie when Clement went back to his Lumio City gym to train his preparedness for his Pokemon battle or gym battle with Ash. That Serena obviously was the one to kind of step into that role, caretaker role. Not that she wasn't doing her fair share of caretaking anyway, but obviously Clement was doing the bulk of it. That she sort of took that role on, obviously with no hesitation, no qualms. She was happy to do that. Wow. That's interesting. Don't think I was gonna consider catching it, but okay. So it's not just the Pokemon that all the Weeping Bell and the Venonats and the Bellsprouts and everything that I've been in here. There's actually Ditto lurking around in here. Okay, that's interesting. Anyway, Serena's relationship with Bonnie is just it's really nice to see, and I like the moments where to sort of take us away from perhaps kind of like the main storyline or whatever's going on, just to see those moments where Serena is interacting with or spending time with Bonnie, or helping her with things, brushing her hair or whatever, or just playing with her as well, because ultimately what I don't think Ash or indeed Clement are going to do is perhaps, I don't see maybe a lot of evidence that they do, is just play with Bonnie. She is ultimately, she's not that much younger than Ash or Serena, but I obviously get the feel like she's deliberately the kid. She needs to have her sort of playtime and such like that. And it's Serena that provides her with the opportunity to do that. And I really like that. I really like that as well. The other things that I really like about Serena are that her closeness with her Pokemon. I'll come back and maybe talk about her Pokemon in a bit more of a negative point of view a bit later, but certainly on the positive point of view. I really do like the closeness she has with her Pokemon. Now, admittedly, she only gets 3. You might be seeing where I'm going with this negativity point that I'll come to later. But Fennekin and slash Breakson or whatever Fennekin seems to be the one that she'd sort of picked out maybe right from the start. That was always going to be her partner. She'd maybe fell in love with Fennekin way before she even knew. Obviously, which Pokemon she was going to pick out of Fennekin, Froakie, and Chespin. Convenient as well, since Ash acquired a Froakie and Clement was going to get a Chespin, so well worked out quite well, didn't it? Nice and conveniently. But there's a very kind of close relationship there between Serena and Fennekin / Breakson. And Eevee as well, and obviously becoming a Sylveon. But I love the storyline of how, or the development of the story of how, or basically Eevee, and Sylveon, where Serena obviously spotted Eevee sort of, excuse me, like dancing on a rock, just sort of out in the open, but a very timid Eevee, very shy, not comfortable around, people, and yeah, she obviously spends a lot of time just observing the Eevee, just first off, just almost in complete awe. There's a lovely scene where, it's late at night and Eevee is just, dancing on the rock, and Serena's just lying there in the grass with Pancham and with presumably it must be Braixen at that point in time. If it's Fennekin, I apologise. I would assume it's Braixen by that point in time. But okay, so apologies for the cuts there, particularly mid-sentence. But yeah, this is a new day. If it wasn't abundantly obvious, my voice just basically completely went into a massive coughing fit, and yeah, just sore throat and no voice whatsoever to speak of. So yeah, new day. Let's hopefully continue on with the game. Continue on this train of thought. I just obviously got Pidgeotto and Evolve. I was in the process of evolving, so I cancelled it, and now Bulbasaur's the same. So make sure. Do that. I also probably need to catch myself a little bit in terms of what was going on. I believe I was just mucking around here, levelling up. So yeah, anyway, apologies for all that. And yeah, if I'm a bit sort of flustered and getting back into the middle of my Serena talk, then apologies. I was in the middle of saying something about, okay, wow, I actually need to go back to the Pokemon Center and get back Pidgeotto's moves and stuff like that, because I'm now pretty much out of Wing Attack, which is pretty much going to be my go-to move here. A flying move to take out all these grass-type Pokemon, or indeed bug-type Pokemon that I'm encountering. So, yeah, anyway, back to Serena. I was in the middle of telling a lovely story about how Serena and Eevee basically first encounter each other, where, yeah, Eevee is just sort of dancing on a rock. Serena is lying on the grass, just, yeah, watching this Eevee with just wonderment and awe. And yeah, she decides that ultimately she's gonna, she wants to, that the Eevee would be very good in Pokemon performances or showcases or whatever. So yeah, she obviously decides that she would like to train Eevee if she can try and catch it, which it does. And yeah, she takes along Eevee with her, and I love seeing Serena sort of like coaxing Eevee and trying to make Eevee less timid, less shy. Admittedly, I got a little. There's a few occasions where I would get a little bit kind of frustrated with Eevee, just sort of running off, hiding, and going off on her own and all that kind of thing. But I mean, ultimately, it's the relationship between Serena and ultimately Eevee becoming a Sylveon, which I think is just the perfect symbolism ultimately for that relationship. Obviously, the number of evolutions that Eevee could take, I think the Sylveon would be just the absolute perfect one to signify their bond, their friendship, and yeah, it was a lovely moment. And yeah, I really do enjoy. I really do like Serena's closeness with her Pokemon. I think I've got back on story now in terms of what I was going to say. So the other thing that I do like is her commitment ultimately to Pokemon performing as well. I think it takes a bit of time to appreciate that's really kind of fully what she wants to do. A lot of most of the time at the beginning she's just sort of spent kind of fawning a little bit over Ash, but once she's kind of committed to it, I do like the sort of the commitment that we see that she has for it, whether it's obviously doing extensive practicing and such like that. So yeah, this is going to be a fairly short point, probably not too much to make on it, but yeah, ultimately I really do like the commitment that we get to see Serena have for her Pokemon performing. A couple of other things I was going to mention on the plus points is I like her relationship with the rivals. I think she's sort of got two sort of unique ones with Shauna and Miette, and I like that they're different. We haven't really got to see maybe a kind of situation perhaps where there's multiple rivals. I think I should maybe rephrase that, because ultimately I think, you know, other characters probably do have multiple kind of rivals, but I feel like these ones are kind of like so different, but somewhat kind of almost sweet in their own way, or at least Serena with Shauna. And I like that sort of kind of, you know, just it's nice to have those two different kind of rival relationships kind of playing off each other, where you see the kind of ultimately the sweetness and the probably more the friendship, I suppose, with Shauna, which we also get to see, I think, with Tierno and Trevor, who are obviously travelling with Shauna. So that's a nice kind of kind of encouraging relationship that Serena has with Shauna, and it's nice to see that kind of play off with Miette. And there's encouragement there. There's a kind of a nice kind of rivalry. It's not like too fierce, but ultimately I really like the sort of the kind of the playing with kind of Ash kind of in the background. Obviously, you know, Miette obviously has a kind of a crush on Ash, as obviously Serena does as well. So it's nice to see that kind of play off in terms of their rivalry, not just with the Pokemon performing, but also with their kind of you know, courting of Ash, although Ash seems to obviously be completely oblivious of anything that's going on. But yeah, it's nice to see the dynamic between the two of them, and their sort of their unbeknownst to Ash courtship of him, where neither really wanting to kind of or Miette's obviously much more willing and able to announce this to sort of Ash than, although Ash's still in the dark, than Serena. But yeah, it's seeing Serena get kind of, you know, a little bit kind of flustered, and having Miette there just to remind her ultimately about how much she does care about Ash is kind of a nice thing to kind of see her, you know, see her play. So that's kind of a nice little kind of additional element to Serena's character. I realise I'm sort of rushing through these at the end now, but I must admit I really had kind of lost my train of thought, and I think I've sort of done much about what I wanted to say about Serena, but without coming to the couple of little negative points. But I do have some other things to say as well. But I'll finish with the last sort of good point, which I'll probably try and go into a bit more detail on. And ultimately, as much as she is a sweetheart, and I love her for that, I do again really like the fact that she will act tough. She will stand up for herself when she needs to. The sort of specific examples I'm thinking of here are, I can't remember the names of the episodes, apologies for that, but there's one where she actually gets annoyed. It's the one where Fennekin will evolve to Breakson, I believe, and she meets up with Ariana, or Aria in disguise, and Serena's in the practicing with Fennekin and Pancham for the contest, but they start kind of, or something goes wrong and they start trying to attack each other, and Fennekin ends up, Pancham sort of climbs on Serena, Fennekin tries to, you know, burn Pancham off, or attack him with a fire weapon, and or fire attack, and ends up hitting Serena, and she just kind of completely loses it. I think kind of somewhat justifiably. I mean, she ultimately feels really, really bad about yelling at Fennekin and Pancham, but you know, sometimes they need to be just brought in line and just told when they're goofing off, when they're messing up and such like that. And Serena, I like how ultimately she does get angry with them, but how badly she feels about it once she does. It really signifies, you know, that she does really want to be friends with her Pokemon, and she really doesn't want to yell at them or, you know, put them down or anything like that. So, but ultimately she has to, and there are other occasions in the anime where she does that, but she goes on a sort of a quest ultimately in that episode by meeting up with, you know, Aria in disguise, though she doesn't know it at the time, and you know, about you know, just more about what it means to be a Pokemon performer, which ultimately brings her closer to her Pokemon. As I said, Fennekin actually evolves into Breakson in that episode as well, which is very nice kind of to see the bond ultimately between Serena and Breakson. But yeah, it's nice to see her lose her temper just occasionally. No, I feel like as much of a sweetheart as she is, no one can go, you know, not lose their temper sort of, you know, never. Another time, which is a very kind of small occasion, must be is it either the 800 or the 900th episode or something? But it's party dance craze or something like that, and I think. And she's just sort of getting the Pokemon ready to begin with, and Pancham starts picking a fight with Breakson, and again Serena loses her cool. She starts yelling at them a little bit. Did I use a wrong move here? I wasn't paying attention to the fact I was fighting a Ditto there. That probably wasn't the best, but oh well. I need to use quick attack there as well, just to piss me off. Anyway, Pancham and Breakson are. I might have got that wrong a minute ago. Yeah, Pancham and Breakson are the ones having a slight argument while Serena is brushing Evie, and yes, they start bickering, and she's just like, loses her cool. Just for that brief moment where she yells at them to stop mucking around. You'll all get your turn getting brushed. No one needs to butt in line or start to kick up a fuss or anything like that. Just wait patiently, and I ultimately like just how quick and simple she deals with that. She gets angry, and it's nice to kind of see her angry, but she deals with it quickly and reasonably calmly, and it's sort of like that's done and dusted, and she can move on. The other example I have in my mind is when she really goes to town and scolds Ash when he starts yelling at her after his 8th gym battle loss. So actually Ash is kind of feeling a little bit down after it as well. But Serena goes off in the snow to try and track him down, and again is just being really nice, really affectionate toward Ash, and just sort of building on her own experience of how ultimately she felt when she'd lost some of her Pokemon performances, and just trying to ultimately help Ash. And Ash just completely snaps at her, just sort of tells her, "You've got no idea how I feel. Don't even try telling me telling things are going to be all right. You've got no idea what this feels like. Shut up, basically." And Serena, as much as she's kind of fawns over Ash, and he's just gushes over him, she will get mad, and she will call Ash on his crap ultimately. When he is basically being a dick. And I like that she basically tells him just snap out of it. How dare you not know? How dare you kind of just be it's okay that you're hurting, but don't think for a minute that it's okay to take it out on others. And then she throws snowballs in his faces, which is a fabulous little moment, and then runs off just kind of all in a huff. Which is and basically tries to get him to snap out of it, which he does by the end of the episode. I'm not necessarily sure you can put that all on Serena. Ultimately, he goes on his own kind of journey through the forest or whatever where he's in, to get back to where he was. But Serena sort of comes back from her meeting with Ash, and it's a nice little level up there. Serena comes back with her meeting from Ash, and Pikachu is sort of almost the one, without even necessarily knowing exactly what Pikachu says, is just the one to sort of bring her out of her huff again almost, and just say, bigger picture, look, there's a snowstorm coming, you've got to help Ash. And she's just like, oh, I know, blah, 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 and then runs off again to find Ash. So it's a kind of a nice kind of moment ultimately to see Serena get angry, but and ultimately when she needs to, because there are certainly times when you feel like she can be a bit sort of too timid, or not quite stand up for herself as much as she should do. So it's nice to see that moment that even with Ash, even with the person that she adores, that she can actually call him out on his crap, and I like that about him as well. There's a couple other things I was going to briefly mention about. Actually, I'll say that for last, about kind of level 36 of Bulbasaur. Okay, I'm just going to pause here quickly, cancel this evolution, and see where we're at with the Pokemon here. I don't know whether I'm going to sort of maybe switch around now and actually just level Pikachu up a bit. I don't know. I'm specifically leaving Charmander out of here for the moment because, okay, so Bulbasaur and Squirtle are both at 36. Pikachu's going to be pretty lousy with the grass, but he's going to be so overpowered that he's probably going to be all right. So I figure what I might actually do here is put Pikachu back into bat, and I will give Pidgeotto the experience share. Let's get my train of thought while I'm doing all this. Yes, I would. I'll leave the other items for the moment. I'll have a think about maybe beginning next episode what I'm going to do with the other items. I want to give Pikachu a lucky egg, don't I? That would be a silly thing not to give you. Cool, right, so we'll muck about with Pikachu for a little bit, and just get him leveled up, and also Pidgeotto as well. But before I maybe go on to the sort of the more neutral thing, I do want to quickly just address probably a couple of little things about Serena that probably go in the negative column, which would be, I think her lack. I understand her sort of lack of Pokemon in the sense that she maybe doesn't need any more than the 3 ultimately that she has. You know, at the end of the X and Y or XYZ series, when when she sort of goes off the Hoenn on her own, but. I do feel like she has a lack of Pokemon, certainly compared to the other characters. Maybe Iris less so, because I don't think she really gets too many, but, Misty, May, Dawn, and, other characters sort of seem to have a bit more of a complement of Pokemon that they can sort of draw on, whereas I think Serena's a bit lacking. I mean, again, ultimately, for the purpose of what she needs with her Pokemon performing, maybe 3 kind of at the end is absolutely plenty, but... She, as far as I can tell, it's about at least 2/3 of the way through the first XYZ season, so it must be season 17, that she actually gets her second Pokemon, Pancham. I'm pretty sure she only has Fennekin for like at least 2/3, if not more, of that first season. It's just, and all the other characters sort of have multiple Pokemon that they can sort of use, and we get to see character development there. Because I do think ultimately, not that she doesn't have great character development, as I've already said, with Fennekin/Braixen and Eevee/Sylveon, but I'm not thinking here about what moves I'm doing. That's probably an absolutely appalling move to use on level 28 Gloom. Yeah, not a good one, that one. As long as I don't get poisoned here, I'm comfortable with that. Good. Yeah, okay. Now I can think. Now I'll pay a bit more attention to which Pokemon are coming up. But not. And back to my point. Not that Serena doesn't have great chemistry ultimately with Fennekin/Braixen and Eevee/Sylveon. I think that the fact that she doesn't ultimately get very many, and again it's pretty late in the day, I'd say that she gets acquires Eevee, that she sort of does miss out a little bit on additional character development by not having nearly as many Pokemon to be able to call on. So I think that is a that's a legitimate weakness, I'd say, in Serena's armour there. In that the relationship she does have with the relationship she has with Pokemon that she does own are wonderful, but I do feel like she misses out a little bit by only having so few in her party. And the other kind of negative I have about Serena, which ultimately is probably why she will end up being, I don't want to say like so low down on my list, but like 4th favourite, because I really think that's doing her an injustice, kind of saying that she's that low on the list. She's ultimately 4th favourite on my list, but. Ultimately her doe-eyed attraction to Ash is just not something that I'm particularly. That didn't knock Weeping Bell out. Are you joking me? It's not something that I'm sort of particularly a fan of. Let's say. I mean, I'm probably pissing off an enormous amount of people by saying that. So. Pikachu's probably going to fate by now, isn't he? Probably not going to get to the. Oh, lovely! You're going to throw another battle in there as well, just on the last patch of grass that I could possibly get to before scampering out of here as well. As I say, probably pissing off an enormous lot of people. If you're obviously one of the people who likes. The Serena's kind of crush on Ash and more shipping, I guess. Then all the power to you. It's just never been shipping in the Pokemon world. Has just never been something that I've been particularly into or anything like that. The doe-eyed attraction to Ash that Serena has is just not for me at all. No. Hopefully I can maybe appease some people by saying that, I say shipping in the Pokemon thing, at least with like all the main shippings, as you say, or pretty much any shipping, frankly, but let's go through the main shippings. Hopefully I can appease some of you by saying at least that if I were to get behind any ship, and I'm not, but if I were, then a more shipping, I guess, would be number 1. So if I'm going to quickly get this is the only time in the world that you're going to hear me talk about shipping. But if I have to rank them, I'm only talking about the main ones here. So I'm talking about Ash ultimately with the 5 Poké Girls. So bottom would be Nagai shipping. I just don't see Ash and Iris as being, a viable ship whatsoever. I think there's way too much. I don't want to say hostility between the two, because obviously friendly and such, but I don't think the guy shipping is a good fit at all. 4th would be advanced shipping. Again, I think not that necessarily don't think that May and Ash would be all right together, but I think it's pretty clear by the end of that series that May is harbouring strong feelings for Drew. So I just think I also think this is just so weird. I also feel like there's a kind of more of a teacher-student relationship, more so with Ash and May than there is with any other of the Poké Girls as well, which just again sort of goes down a route that less than comfortable with. Not that they are literal teacher and student, but there's more of it evident there than I think with any other ones. But as I say, I think ultimately May's the seemingly clear evidence that May is actually seems to be attracted to Drew is what puts the kibosh on that for me. Ultimately, I still think they're a better fit than Ash and Iris. Third, there would be Pearl shipping as much as well. We've obviously got yet to see Dawn and indeed May on the list as well. Much as I like Dawn. And Ash's kind of relationship, I see that much more of sort of like a best friend relationship than anything romantic or anything like that. So yeah, that's why that would be third. And then ultimately, because Poké shipping, which would be second, I do think there's clearly elements of that kind of still there. Less so from Ash, but Misty's there's some clear hints, at least in the dub version of the anime, that there's something kind of there. That Misty's kind of feeling, for Ash, probably much toward the end of the series, but the goodbye, the song, and everything like that. Again, I don't know whether that's slightly different in the original Japanese version compared to the English dub version or whatnot. But again, there's the episode I already referenced with Brock, where I was talking about him. A woman actually being attracted to him and him not knowing what to do, and Missy's the one who sort of calls him out on it and tells him to buck up and everything like that. And it's ultimately Brock who sort of counters Misty's arguments on that by saying, well, how do you know? And Misty, I presume, is clearly thinking about Ash when she's got this in her mind as well. So yeah, there's clearly something there, so that's why that would be second above Pearl shipping or the other ones. But yeah, ultimately I don't think I could argue with the more shipping. It's clear with the backstory that Serena obviously has huge affection for Ash. Obviously there's the kiss scene at the end, which was something that presumably appeased a lot of people when they got so pissed off about the result of the Kalos League and all that kind of thing, which just completely I don't. Well, I sort of understand a little bit of the backlash, but not to the extent that it was. I just think that the fan base just had a huge overreaction to that, much as they did ultimately with Serena's and Ash's kiss. But I think for the right reasons on that one. But yeah, it's clear to me that at least if I have to ship Ash with anyone, any of the Poké Girls, it's gonna be Serena. Let's just say that. But yeah, that's I spent probably way too long on that. I did not intend to spend anywhere near as long. I knew that was going to happen. Thank you very much for the confusion mess up. Yeah, I spent way too long there talking about shipping. I had no intention of talking about it for that long, but yeah. Anyway, let's get that out of the way. But ultimately, yeah, I'm going to keep saying this phrase: the doe-eyed attraction to Ash is cute, but not something that I really get behind at all. So I think ultimately for that reason, compared to the three that we've still got to come, I think Serena probably certainly in my kind of favouritism sort of suffers a little bit. But I feel like I'm being harsh there. But just the Ash Serena relationship or more shipping just not for me, unfortunately. So yeah. I think that's pretty much it, other than the one thing I did want to mention, and I've not really mentioned about any other ones, particularly like the Poké Girls that I've been going through, is actually sort of like looks or appearance. I'm really not trying to base any of my sort of favouritism on ultimately looks or anything like that. I mean, it just so happens that my top four have turned out to be female, but I mean, come on, we're dealing with 10-year-olds, or indeed in Bonnie's case, 7 or 8-year-olds, so that's not come into my kind of list at all. But I would at least like to at least mention, because I feel like it would be remiss of me not to, Serena's change in look in the anime once she suffered her Pokemon showcase loss when Eevee, I think it was, tripped up on a sash or something, and caused Serena to lose in the contest. But she decided, completely new look and a completely new hairstyle and all that kind of thing. So. Yeah, I mean, it's a brave decision to do it. I'm I'm not disappointed they did it, or that she did do it. I think personally I prefer, and again I don't really want to spend much time thinking about looks here, but I think personally I slightly prefer her initial look, her initial sort of costume and hairstyle and everything like that. But I mean there's not much in it. I mean she does still look very cute in both, but yeah, I think I'd probably just slightly favour her initial appearance. I don't know whether that's just because ultimately it was the first one, you sort of got used to it, and it's a bit of a kind of a bit of a shock just to see her sort of looking in a different way. But I like that she did it. I like that she had the confidence ultimately, because she's pretty depressed at the end of that episode. She's really absolutely in tears. She is really breaking down. And hopefully, presumably Fennekin and Panchin obviously managed to snap her out of it and such like that. But yeah, it's a brave decision to like cut off all her hair, go with a completely new look and everything like that. So yeah, I applaud her. I applaud her for doing that. That she has the confidence ultimately to do it. But yeah. That's all I want to say probably about just that note, because I feel like, I don't want to dwell too much on looks, but I do feel like it would be remiss of me not to at least mention Serena's change in appearance through in the anime. And I guess I'll leave it there. So let's get out of here. I will wander back over. No, I won't. I will go back and heal. Yeah, this has gone on way longer than I thought it would be for only 2 characters. I mean, it had to be only 2 characters. It's probably gone as long as about an hour, and I feel like it's going on for about an hour and a quarter, or maybe even longer than that. I don't know. I only talked about 2 characters. I mean, I guess it's perhaps going to happen because we are now getting to the ones, much more near the top of my list. I've obviously got lots of good things to say about them that I want to touch on. I want to bring up. I don't plan on doing anything really like this, or touching on this kind of subject again, really. So I want to make sure that I get out all the points I want to. I appreciate this goes on for quite a long time, but ultimately that's a good thing in terms of me being able to actually level up Pokemon by quite a bit. I didn't expect it to go this long, given that it was only 2 characters, given that I think I've spent less time with talking about 3 characters. But those are my 5th and 4th places. So 5th is Brock and 4th is Serena, and that only leaves 3. So in case anyone sort of reads anything into it in alphabetical order, that leaves Bonnie, Dawn and May, or in chronological order, that leaves May, Dawn and Bonnie as my top 3. At some point down the road, I don't know exactly when it's going to be, but I'll decide based on maybe if I need to, in terms of the actual storyline here, feeling like I need to level up or increase level up or whatnot, but also just based on how far I've got through the anime episodes as well, because I feel like around about maybe episode late 50s, late 50s, 60s is probably when I want to do the next one. So and I will do the next 2 on my list. So that will be 3 and 2. Yeah, I'm saving my number 1 pick. I'm saving my number 1 pick for her, given they're all female now left anyway, not giving any away, for her own episode. I love my number 1 pick so much that I could easily completely do an episode, just with just talking about her. And I think she deserves it. I feel like she richly deserves having her own sort of or her own episodes with me talking about her. But I will maybe bring up the countdown again. So just recap very quickly once more. So 11th was Max, 10th Tracy, 9th Iris, 8th Cylon, 7th Misty, 6th Clement, 5th Brock, 4th Serena, leaving just the 3. And at some point down the line I will obviously continue this travelling companion countdown with my 3rd and 2nd pick. But this episode's gone on way too long, but ultimately I've got my Pokemon up to a bit more levels, or a few more levels. Perhaps not quite as much as I would have liked actually. Squirtle or Bulbasaur, level 36, I don't feel like I maybe did so much with them, but I've got Pidgeotto up to 42. I've left Charmander specifically alone because of, ultimately next episode I think we're going to be doing something quite special with Charmander. So I think Charmander will get his chance to shine next episode, and I didn't necessarily need him up any more levels. If what I think is going to happen, because I don't know for certain, but if what I think is going to happen, then Charmander I think is absolutely perfectly set where he is at the moment, and Charmander will get some love and attention next episode. But I'll leave it there, and we'll pick up next time with the continuation of the anime, and we'll be kicking off with the March of the Executor Squad. So I hope you've enjoyed this, but until next time, cheerio.